When I think back on all the fears when I was pregnant, all of them dismissed except for one. The only test the state mandated was genetic. Looking for that extra chromosome.
Hello, and welcome to the If We Knew Then podcast. I'm Steven Socks,
And I'm Lori Socks.
and today we are joined via Skype by Melissa Kynoch from Birmingham, England. Melissa is the mother of two, 4-year-old Day and 8-month-old Birdie. The family has risen to some prominence in the Down syndrome community since several clips of a BBC One documentary series they were featured in have made their way around social media. The series is called Life and Birth, and during the program, it is revealed that little Birdie is diagnosed with Down syndrome. Melissa, we are absolutely elated to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. This is surreal and exciting and a little nerve-wracking, I have to say.
I bet it's been a little overwhelming. I know we saw your clip from the BBC series that you are featured in just randomly. I saw it randomly on a Facebook page post. It wasn't something that I could dive into because we're not in the UK, but even just your clip, the little trailer they had, or a couple of trailers they had of you, just was so beautiful, and we just really wanted to get in contact with you. I know it had over 3 million views, and I know that's probably what's a little overwhelming.
Very overwhelming. I think it's on about 3.5 million views now, and the actual episode that was watched live, I think that was about 2.6 million views. So it's been very popular. I think the series as a whole has been very popular, but that episode has been very popular, and the amount of messages that I've received is just, it's surreal. It's very magical, yeah.
Well, how did that happen? How did that all come to be that you were featured in this docuseries?
They had the hospital had their own Facebook page, and it was one of those nights where I couldn't sleep and just browsing through Facebook, and I thought I'll have a look at the hospital's page, and there was an advert that had been put on just a few hours beforehand that they were going to be filming some births if anybody was due to give birth in August or September, to give them a call. Well, I wasn't due until the end of October, but I thought that sounds like it could be fun, and at that point I'd already had Bertie's diagnosis, so I thought that would be a bit of a soapbox that I could get on, and just a good opportunity to fly the flag for him. So I just briefly emailed them with outline of who I was and what was happening with Bertie, and the next day they called me. We had a chat for about half an hour on the phone, and they liked the sound of my story. We did a Skype call, I think it was about a week later, which they recorded to show the rest of the team. And then a couple of days after that, they told me that they would like to film my pregnancy, not to worry that Bertie wasn't due until the end of October. They just wanted to see how it went. I knew that didn't mean that I would necessarily be featured on the series, but they were going to be filming lots of people and they were casting throughout. But I thought with the amount of time throughout my pregnancy that they spent with me, I think it was pretty obvious that we were going to be included. Yeah, so it was a spontaneous moment that worked out really well.
So can you tell us a little bit about your story for those who are listening who weren't able to get the entire show?
Yeah, well, I think we were featured for two reasons. One, I think because of my age, being an older mum, and the other reason really was for how excited I was to be pregnant. And I think that was kind of regardless of Bertie's diagnosis. I think that kind of added to the story, but I don't think they necessarily chose to film us because I was carrying a baby with Down syndrome. I think it was more probably my attitude towards it was why they wanted to include us in the show. So as I say, I'm an older mum. I'm 45. I have very proud mum of two fantastic boys. My eldest is called Day, and he's 4. Bertie is 7.5 months old. I have a dog as well, and Bertie has Down syndrome, and both boys were unexpected miracles. And I think that's quite a big theme of what they showed in the episode, was my desire to be a mum. From a little girl, always wanted to be a mum, always wanted to have children, and that it hadn't happened for me. And at 41, I had Day, and and had Bertie 7 months ago. So I think they managed to really capture how much I wanted to be a mum. How it was something that I just desperately wanted. And after I'd had Day, I really didn't think for 1 minute that it would happen again, that I would be so blessed, and then I was completely unexpected. So I think that's what they featured. That's what they featured in the show. I think it's a quite a hopeful story, all in all.
Watching your clip, I think that's what struck me the most, was your excitement and, for lack of better word, just the acceptance of my son's going to be born and he has Down syndrome. And that's so refreshing, because I don't know what it's like in the UK, but over here, I know what I experienced a lot in my pregnancy was, even with my daughter, was, the heavy-handed push for testing and the tones of, well, you better decide. And, even those words being presented to me, it was just so nice to see mom who was pregnant just being pregnant and allowing that, because I don't, like over here, and what my experience and a lot of different moms that I've spoken to, their experiences, once you get that diagnosis, the world shifts and attitudes towards you become, it takes away a lot of the joy that we want to experience as moms, and we should be able to experience. And I loved that. I loved your attitude. I just loved watching that your experience was, here's a mom who's going to give birth, and maybe the focus was your age, and then secondary was, and your Bertie's diagnosis. And it really was inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that the film crew really captured that very well. But that was my reality. I was very, very excited about my pregnancy. I mean, really, when I say it's a complete miracle, I couldn't believe how blessed I was that I was going to have another baby, something that I so desperately wanted. I could not believe that was going to happen to me again. And I think that kind of rubbed off on people. But I hear you with some of your experiences, and I experienced a little bit of that in the beginning. I had a couple of hospital appointments where it was very early on in me receiving Bertie's diagnosis, and there would be talk about Down syndrome, and that would be followed by, and we can discuss the termination if you want. That's something that's open to you. And it only happened a couple of times because I nipped that one in the bud. I said, his name's Bertie, and please don't mention termination to me again. And they said, great, fantastic, we'll put it in your notes. And it was never mentioned to me again. And everybody that I came across, whether it was, friends, family, or medical professionals, were excited for me. probably because I didn't give them much opportunity to be anything else. But everybody was genuinely excited for me, and I never understood the reaction of the film crew towards me. They really treated me like I was unique, like my attitude was unique, and I never got my head around that until I realised that 9 out of 10 pregnancies in this country end in termination when they get a diagnosis of Down syndrome. And then I realised, okay, maybe I am a little bit different to the norm, or because I'm definitely not wanting to have a termination, and because I'm pregnant. It's never going to happen for me again. I'm too old. This is fantastic. And that was more important than anything else. And so I do understand how their attitude towards me now is that it probably was a little bit different to what they've experienced, or what the norm would be. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that the series ended up being a bit of a soapbox for you, and it definitely came across that way for me, just seeing your love for both your boys, and just you as a mother, and that the focus became love, and the focus became family.
You saw my boys. I mean, I know I'm biased, but they are awesome, aren't they?
There's a scene that is not in that I ended up being able to watch the entire episode, and there's ways to do that if you don't live in the UK, but the BBC player is pretty strict about you having to be listening from a device in the UK, and it's difficult. Even if you were a prescriber of BBC and left the country, you couldn't watch the episode. But I was able to watch it, and there's a great scene where they're giving you a tour of the hospital, and you two are just so beautiful in that scene, and your boy's asking about his soon-to-be younger brother, and it's just really sweet. It was also nice to see a little bit of the facilities that you have. I guess some of it could be that there's a film crew following you, but but the administration there seemed to be so welcoming and open, and you would know probably the difference between Day's pregnancy and Birdie's, how you were treated, but it just seemed such an opening relationship there, where they just wanted to show you the facility, and I guess they were showing you the NICU.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, I have no comparison with the rest of the country, but I was so grateful to be living in Birmingham when I got Bertie's diagnosis, because there's 2 hospitals that are part of the same trust, and that's Birmingham Women's and Birmingham Children's Hospital, and Bertie spent a lot of time in both hospitals, and both of them are centre of excellence. So it's just groundbreaking what the team do there, but they are top of their fields. The care that Bertie received in both hospitals was outstanding, not just from a medical point of view, but how they looked after all of us as a family. We've spent about 20 weeks in hospital, most of it at those 2 hospitals, and another one which is a bit more local to me, a general hospital. And all 3 of them, the staff have treated us like family. Every time I walk through the door, especially in NICU, because that was early on, it was my first experience of hospital like that. They just really looked after us. I felt welcomed and heard, listened to, significant. They put up with Day. He's very, he's such an amazing boy. He's very bright. He's hilarious. He's very loving and affectionate, but demanding and full on, and self-will run riot. And try and keep he was 3 at the time, try and keep a 3-year-old entertained in just a small corner of a neonatal intensive care unit, that he wouldn't be disruptive, it was quite stressful, and the staff were just incredibly supportive, and watching the entire series of life and birth, that very much comes through. The film crew really captured that very well.
Well, even as a young mother, you really were so natural with the way you talked about Down syndrome and just at ease about it. What was maybe you can give us an insight, what was your feeling when you heard the diagnosis initially?
It's really hard to kind of pinpoint what my feeling was about Down syndrome part of Bertie, because there was so many other factors going on at the time. So I'd had my scan was at 13 weeks, and they told me I didn't want any of the tests. I wasn't interested. It wouldn't have made any difference. So I just thought I don't need to know. But because the nuchal reading was so large, their procedure is they had to tell me anyway. So I kind of had a good understanding of what that could mean. I also knew that could be Patau or Edwards, and those babies aren't compatible with life. So I was devastated because I didn't want him to die, and so the whole week, and that was on a Friday morning, I had that scan. So then I decided I would have the blood tests to find out what was happening, and I didn't get those results until the Tuesday morning. And that weekend was probably the lowest point of my pregnancy. I was devastated, very worried, not because of Down syndrome, because I just kept praying, please let it be Down syndrome, please let it be Down syndrome, because I knew he wouldn't survive if it was anything else. So it's kind of hard to really separate what my feelings were, because my feelings were complete relief, utter relief when I found out, when I then had further tests and scans, and I found out that he had Down syndrome. Utter relief. Then I got the diagnosis straight away that he had a serious heart condition. So Down syndrome took a back seat, and his heart condition was what worried me the most. So it never, I mean, if I say I didn't worry about it, that wouldn't be true. I did worry about it. I was very uneducated around Down syndrome. So when I'm the type of person that I like to read lots of stuff. I want information. I want to prepare myself. I want to be educated about it. And the stuff that I read, well, it frightened me mostly. Just these lists of health conditions that I was presented with. There was really, at that stage, at that point, there was nothing that I read that made me, that kind of like settled my anxiety. It just increased it all. So I made the decision to be very selective with anything that I read on the internet. And in fact, my cousin bought me a book, and it's a book by a woman who has a son with Down syndrome. And I read this book with the hope that it was this comical, joyous point of view from a parent, and it wasn't. That's not what I got from the book. In fact, the book frightened me. I think it was just such a missed opportunity of all the humorous things that happen with your child. And that was very disappointing. I think she'd. I think, maybe there was some past resentments that she hadn't been able to let go of with some friends, of how she'd been treated, and that was really kind of came out with in the book, and I had to say to myself, that's their journey, and my journey will be very different, and I'm a different person. And there was one story that she wrote about. She had a dinner party, and her son had done a poo on the rug, and how horrified she was at that, and just devastated and embarrassed. I mean, I just can't think of anything funnier. I mean, that would be brilliant. I would encourage both of my children to have a poo in the carpet. If I had a dinner party, I think the type of guests that I would have round would think that was hilarious. It would make the night. So I had to just right from the start say to myself, this will be our journey. Our journey will be different to everybody else's, and that kind of that helped. But to say that I wasn't worried about it wouldn't be true. but it didn't dominate. It didn't dominate my pregnancy by any stretch of the imagination.
It's funny you should mention, because that was our experience when Liam was born 10 years ago. It was the same thing where I think people with good intentions would hand us something. It was the only thing that they could give us, and they thought, coming from, this is really going to help. And I think I was led 3 different places, and none of them instilled hope. Instead, they just filled me with fears and sadness. And I thought, this can't be it. This can't be all that's out there. We're going to make a news story, and we're going to put things that are hopeful out there so that when people come behind us and they have questions, there's hope. It's not, the devastation and the perception that it's devastation. It's hope and beauty and these good things that you're blessed with. And the thing about that you said about perspective, I think that just having that perspective of, I want my son to live. And I know that was that was a gift to us as well, because Liam also spent time in the NICU. And I think you're given that. I think it takes away from the weight. Is just the Down syndrome goes on the back burner, and you're focused on what really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And you felt supported by your friends and family as well, or I guess that isn't a given, even with your attitude. But how did your family and friends respond?
Everybody's response to me has been incredible. It's been very positive and very supportive. I didn't, and I haven't experienced anything negative from anybody. No negative comments, no negative attitudes from anybody until this social media clip on the BBC site. And there's many comments, and 99.9% of the comments are beautiful. They're stunning and supportive. And I haven't read through all of them, but there's been the odd one that's negative about Down syndrome, and I can pick up within reading the first couple of words that it's going to be negative. So I don't read anymore. I'm not interested. They are entitled to their opinion, and I'm entitled to ignore it. So I'm not interested. I'm not interested in having anything negative around me or the boys, and so the overwhelming response that I've had is just been loving and kind. The one comment that I did read and has been my absolute favourite. I think there's been a few thousand comments on there, and obviously I haven't gone through them all, but my absolute favourite, and I think this person has clearly put quite some time into thinking how they could insult me, but I'm actually thinking of changing my Instagram account to this, and their comment was brain dead old woman. I just thought, well, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. I thought that was absolute classic. Brilliant, and it made me laugh, and I'm really glad that person shared their thoughts with me. But apart from that, stuff about me is fine. Stuff about Bertie, I don't like it, so I don't read it. But yeah, my friends and family have been brilliant. I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed that I have a very large circle of friends and a group of girls that are like family to me, and they have been hugely supportive throughout my pregnancy and since Bertie is born. And I have contact with the girls on a daily basis. So when all the weeks that we've been in hospital, we've got a WhatsApp group. All the weeks and weeks in hospital, they were the ones that I reached out to on a daily basis, and they've been hugely supportive, very invested in Bertie. In fact, everybody's been massively invested in him. People who have never met him. Most of my friends and family actually haven't met him yet because we've spent so much time in hospital. And then when we came out, we went into lockdown we had lockdown before it was official here because we were worried about Bertie. So there's been so many people who haven't had contact with him yet, but they feel like he's theirs. They feel like he belongs to them as well. And Bertie's family is extended hugely, and for my baby shower, I decided I didn't want to have a normal baby shower. I wanted to have a Down syndrome baby shower, and it was beautiful. It was in August. It was a really hot day. We had it at my mum's, and I had lots of information there. I contacted the Down Syndrome Association, and they sent me a lot of information that I made into packs for people, of just the right language for them to start using, and a little bit more understanding of what Bertie's journey could be, how I wanted them to be, and everybody came. We had a big party in the garden. It was stunning, and we celebrated Down syndrome before all of us kind of really knew much about Down syndrome. So yeah, they've been with me every step of the way. It's just everybody has been excited for me. I mean, that's the kind of dominating feature, is excitement. My family have been amazing, especially my cousins. They've been very much involved in the practical side. So if I've sent things out that I want them to read on Down syndrome, they've read them, or they've read books, or they want to learn Makaton. They're really helpful with the practical side, which that makes me feel like they're involved more. So yeah, I've just been really lucky. I've been really lucky. We're very much loved by a lot of people.
Well, that's wonderful that you have such a great support group. You were talking about social media and that 99.9% of that was supportive. I've noticed that the social media presence in the UK surrounding Down syndrome is really prevalent. Whenever I look at Twitter or Facebook, it seems like so many of the groups and dedicated pages to Down syndrome are in the English Isles, honestly. I mean, even there's an Irish group as well, but it seems like a lot of UK group. And so that prompts me to wonder what the supports are like in your area. Obviously you felt a welcoming and warming attitude at the hospital and from the doctors and administration. Now that you're out of hospital and at home, what kind of supports are available to you? I guess there's supports privately you could take, but what are supports that are available to you from your country?
I feel like there is so much there for Bertie. It's been difficult to fully connect with each of the services at the moment because he has been in hospital for so long. And then, as I said, as soon as we came out of hospital, we've been in lockdown. So his appointments at the moment are over the phone rather than meeting face to face. So haven't been able to fully tap in what's available to him, but he has a whole team of specialists looking after him, and a whole Down syndrome community. I mean, it's right what you say. I have no comparison to anywhere else, but I feel like in England and in Birmingham, there is massive support for Down syndrome, the Down syndrome community. When I found out about Bertie when I was pregnant, I joined the Down Syndrome Association. That was the first thing that I did. And then I Googled my local Down Syndrome support group. And they're fantastic. Every Monday they have a stay and play. They meet monthly, or the families meet monthly. And they have many social activities, and they go pantomimes and days out. And it's just the whole family there waiting to welcome us and support us. So I have that. I've also joined another group which is called Wouldn't Change a Thing, and I found a big connection with the families on there. A lot of the mums on there, they've been very, very supportive, especially whilst we were in hospital. They didn't forget us. They are very, very, very proactive in keeping in touch to make sure that there was anything I needed, and that really, really valued that. Medical profession. Wow, I mean, Bertie has, and I've lived in Africa for 7 years, so the same as you guys there. You have to have health insurance in South Africa. There isn't a national health service like there is here, so I know what it's like to not get free healthcare, and I'm constantly blown away with what we have here, what Bertie has, and it's for free. I can't get my head around it. He has a paediatrician, and he's got the cardio team. He has a physio. He has a speech and language specialist. He has a dietitian. We've got a GP, a health visitor, a community nurse. He's also sees a neurodisability paediatrician. I mean, and I don't pay for any of that, and it's top care. It's incredible. It's incredible what is available to him. He has early years inclusion support. He has he has loads. He has absolutely loads. I think he doesn't want for anything. He will. There is help there for anything that Bertie is going to experience and need to overcome. There's going to be a team on hand ready to help him. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm very jealous.
It makes me so happy for you.
It does. It's beautiful. It's what you want for your citizens. I mean, why shouldn't everyone be able to get care like that? Just everyone get health care. That's one of the most important things. I mean, our health. And to include all this
Inclusion.
For inclusion, for that he is accepted in that community as well, where they're going to not just do the minimum for him. They're throwing a lot of things out there. That's really beautiful.
He's going to reach his potential.
I'm very curious to see, as he progresses, the support you get in school and stuff too. I'm assuming that's going to be great too.
But I think it also, talking about the medical and having the inclusion, that sets a tone, that sends a message as well.
Like, you're important and you're included, and what you need will help you.
Absolutely.
I'm very lucky that I have within my friendship circle, I have people who are physiotherapists, who do deal with speech and language with adults with Down syndrome. I'm very, very lucky that I've got friends who I can also tap into their expertise as well.
That's great, because I know speech has been one of our challenges, getting the speech support, and I think it makes such a difference all around. Just to be able for Liam to be able to express himself, to support him to do that makes a big difference.
I think that's probably my biggest fear, and it's not something that keeps me awake at night, but it crosses my mind. Every now and again, it's, will Bertie be able to communicate with people? Because if he can't, it's then such a barrier between him and everybody else. I mean, us as a family, we can learn Makaton if he can do that. We can learn to sign with him. Other people don't do that, and that's my fear, is that embarrassment of being with somebody who I don't understand. And it's not talking about just like a disability thing. It's just even somebody with a very strong accent. I mean, if you've heard some of the accents in England, I mean, God forbid I have to talk to somebody from Newcastle, because I can't understand them. It's not a disability thing. It's just that embarrassment of, I can't understand what you're saying, and I find that hard to communicate with somebody. And that's my fear for him. It's that I don't want those sort of social barriers there for him.
I'm glad you mentioned Makaton, because that's something I hadn't heard of until I kind of did a little research and some connections in the UK. Makaton. A great place to go is wetalkmakaton.org. They've been developing this program for like 40 years. It's a language program that I believe it can be personalized to suit any age or ability. And it's just, to me, it's a simplification of sign language just to help communicate and make things a little less frustrating. And I found on Twitter, Nikki has a great series of Makaton videos that she co-stars with her beautiful daughter, Lucinda, and the Twitter handle is @MacatonLucinda. You should really check it out. Nikki does make it clear that she isn't an official tutor of Macaton, but that page is a great resource for parents looking for more information. But I have to tell you, Melissa, I can guarantee you that you're going to communicate beautifully with Birdie, and Birdie's going to communicate with everyone around him.
He says so much with his eyes already. It's astonishing how much. I mean, he's 7 months and he communicates so much when he's looking at you, which I never experienced this with Day at this age. I mean, you know, Day was atypical baby, but he didn't communicate with his eyes like Bertie does. It blows me away. It's astonishing.
Our podcast is called If We Knew Then. If you can just take something from us, that we've had that same fear at the point that you're at, and Liam communicates with us in such beautiful ways. I mean, not only through speech but other ways, but even his speech is not well, that's something we're really working on. That's not his strength, and he communicates with everyone around him, his sister, and us. And please set yourself at ease. It's not a worry you should be having.
And I'll tell you that Liam is very patient because he knows what he wants to say and he knows what he's saying. Unfortunately, we didn't always have we have yet to get the support in the speech therapy. So we work with him. But what I find is Liam is the one who's patient with us. He's the one who's saying something and you don't necessarily understand it. So he'll try to get you to understand, like trying to show you. And he's very patient with us as far as to understand him.
He's so incredible to be patient with you, because like, what child is patient with their parents?
Right. And if Stephen hadn't done it, I was going to say it too. You just put that worry out of your head. He's going to communicate. He's going to talk. And it sounds like you've got all the supports and you're going to advocate to get those supports and just let go of that worry.
Mentioning this about patience, it reminds me of a UK connection as well, that we, Liam, a couple years ago would sign to us certain, she knows what I'm going to say, would sign to us certain things that when we started to sign, I remember he would say the word car, like he wanted to play with his cars, CARS, but he also had cards, like a deck of cards that he wanted to play with as well. And those two words were very hard for him sometimes to communicate. So he had two signs for them. And once he had the signs, we knew exactly what he wanted, cars or cards.
And he created those signs.
He created these signs. And
Brilliant.
And we just went with it. We try to teach him some signs, and he gets that too. But if he wants to come up with his own sign, sure, that works. But he would communicate to us something he wanted to watch on TV. At the time, we were watching Downton Abbey a lot. And he put his hands up like a crown with his two thumbs up to his head on his temples, and he would say Downton Abbey, and we would say great, Downton Abbey, and he would get excited kind of, and then we would play it, and he would pout a little bit, and he would be upset, but then he'd end up watching
he loves Downton Abbey.
show. He does love Downton Abbey. So, well, come to find out, he wasn't signing Downton Abbey. His fingers and his hands up were like antlers, and he was trying to say he wanted to watch Bambi. So Bambi sounded like Downton Abbey, and so we gave him a few Bambi nights to pay him back, you know.
He was very,
and he
very...
laughed about it too. He did have a sense of humor about it. Melissa, we're so happy to talk to you.
I was looking forward to this all day, and
Me too.
your story it's just uplifting. It gives me hope, and it reminds me of the power of what your attitude is and how that helps to influence our children and our lives so much. Your excitement just for being pregnant was what was amazing to me. Even though we knew your story was you were pregnant with a child with Down syndrome, I love that wasn't even a thing. It's just, I'm pregnant. I'm so excited. This is going to be my last time to do this.
I still can't believe it. I mean, I really can't. I look at both the boys and I just think, how did that happen? Like, how could I be so blessed? I don't think I'll ever not be in awe of the fact that I've got 2 children. It's just, it's amazing. It's incredible.
Well, please hug those 2 boys for us and give Richard our best and your mom our best.
Thank you. And give Liam and Sophia our love as well.
Please follow us on Twitter at If We Knew Then Pod, and you can drop us a line on our Facebook page at If We Knew Then Pod, or visit our website, ifweknewthen.com, to send us an email with questions and comments. And you can join our mailing list there and get alerts of future podcast episodes. All these links will be added to this episode's show notes. Thank you again, and we look forward to you joining us on the next episode of If We Knew Then.
Mama wouldn't take